So I got on Amazon. If you know me, Amazon is a weakness of mine. They've got whatever you need. They've got stuff that they don't have in stores. Hit a button, it's coming to your house. And they have prices, that are better than most places. But at the same time, I do like to support local. But there is no local computer store within 500 gazillion miles of me. So here was what we have is my next big project. And I told y'all in my last video, if y'all watched it, that I want to show y'all my hobbies. I want to learn with y'all. This is my first big computer build, and I want to bring y'all along with me. So if any of y'all are curious about computer builds, want to do your own, want to know anything about the parts, or have any things that I did right or wrong, any comments, please put them down below. Reach out to me. This is a learning curve. I'm human, I'm not the smartest man, but I'll put the effort in, and sometimes just putting the effort in is better than being smart. So hopefully I'll have enough of both to get this project done. Only thing that's not here right now is my GPU. The graphics card is NVIDIA 5070. It's about the only one I could find right now because there's a shortage, but it says it should be here by 8. This bad boy came in about 30 minutes ago. It's the Northern XL. It's the beautiful case, so we'll see how that goes. To go with it, it has 2 fans or 3 fans on the inside of the case itself. I bought another triple fan here with RGB and a single fan here. Plenty of cooling. We even have a CPU cooler to go with the i7 14th Gen 14700K CPU. SSD is a 4TB Samsung with the heatsink. I could use the heatsink off a motherboard, but I think that one's going to stay. It's pretty nice looking. Also have thermal paste to go to merge the CPU cooler with the CPU. 1000 watt power supply is the one that I personally wanted. The one I wanted was unavailable and has been for a while, but this one's 1000 watts, should be more than enough. And yeah, great reviews on it. We've got the MSI Z790 Ace motherboard. It looks gorgeous. That's one main reason I got it, but it also has great reviews and functionality is great. So we can't go wrong with that. And lastly here we have the DDR5 64 gigs RAM. It's the double 32s, and it's more than enough, but I'm excited to have the extra. Like I said, this is supposed to be a build that lasts, so come with me on the build, and if you have any questions, comments, concerns, like I said, let me know. This is the main reason I'm starting this channel, and I really want this to benefit others as well, so let's get to building. Alright, first thing we're going to unbox is this Northern XL case. Let's get to it. I'll get the camera and do a run through with y'all to see how beautiful this thing really is. Love this thing. This thing just looks beautiful. So beautiful. I like the gold. This theme's going to have a wooden, black, and gold theme. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful case. So on the back side here, you've got screws here. These right here are little hand screws. You can remove the glass. These right here to remove this other side panel, which is hides your wires. And these bottom ones is to hide your bottom port for your power supply. So, yeah. Told you she was beautiful. Quick, I thought I'd show you all the back side. So this is where your motherboard is going to go. You have a lot of cable management, and then they also have some pre-ran wires for your fans and other things that need to connect to your buttons and UPS ports up there. So that's what that is. And next to down here is where your power supply goes and your hard drives, which they have trays that come in and out. So all these builds, sorry for the weird angles. I'm getting used to the Pocket 3 and setting up and how to get angles, but The thing about setting up a motherboard is everybody can do it differently. Everybody has their way of doing it. You don't want to put components in that could get in your way or could mess one up. So I'm personally going to start off with the CPU. Then I'm going to jump into the SSD. Go ahead and do my storage. Then I'll probably go ahead and do my RAM. And then once I do my RAM, I'll go ahead and add my CPU cooler. And lastly, I'll add my graphics card. That's the biggest, bulkiest thing. Real quick, look what the mail just dropped off. A GPU. It is the GeForce RTX G70 Ace by Asus. The video processing with 12 gigs of memory, which is awesome. So it's got the Aurora Sync, whatever, for the RGB. And I'm excited. It's tough gaming. It's the tough series. So let's see. I'm excited. Let's get back to the build. Alright peeps, I'm about to knock out this motherboard. The thing about a motherboard is it comes in this wrapper. It's a static sensitive device itself, the CPU is. And this wrapper right here keeps it from damaging the parts, because the static can damage the parts. So what I'm going to do, I'll put this on top of the box. I'm going to take it out the wrapper, put the wrapper down, and stick this CPU right on top of the static bag. Oh, look how beautiful this thing is. Just gorgeous. Alright, hopefully this angle isn't too bad. I'll do my best to stay out y'all's way. Let's start off with the CPU. So the CPU can be pretty fragile. So a lot of people seem to freak out over this. It's definitely something I'm nervous about, being my first time dealing with a CPU. It's heavier than I thought it would be, honestly. But take this puppy out of the case. Grab it lightly. Wow, look how pretty that thing is. Alright, let's get to it. You're going to pop this little cover off. Pick up the plate. Don't want to touch those. Those little pins can bend easily. You just lay that thing in there and it should drop right in. And then once you do that, you put your plate down. Don't be afraid to push. Oof, that didn't sound good, but we'll see. Then you pull your lever down and that plate's just going to pop off. Or it should. There, CPU installed. Oof, that was nerve-wracking. Look at that. Isn't she pretty? So this cover was on there, had a little button on the side. Pops off to the C port, quick connect. This is just a heat sink. I don't know what all this does. I guess that lights up RGB. But don't need this piece. So I've got the heat sink on here. But I could take the heat sink off if I wanted to. Debating on that one. It's a pretty setup. Get my storage in here. Now a lot of them are coming with, now if you see, it's hard to see right here, there's a little pin that slides and locks it in place. Usually you have to get a screw, unscrew it, and screw it. This has a pin, and you can lock it right in place. I'm debating on how I want to do this because this cover won't fit with that heatsink on there. Yep. So we'll see. I'm debating on, I might come back, I might take the heatsink off and throw this on there. We'll see. I think it looks kind of different with the red and gold, but time will tell. Is the RAM. These, I hear two different things. They can be hard, they can be easy. The biggest thing is putting it in the right way. From my understanding, you want the logo going out. There's these little clips right here. I have to see which two. It should be labeled on which ones to put it in. Back on the ones that you want to put it on. I guess it's only one-sided maybe. So I want to, this right here is a little diagram, and it says first 1, 2, and 2, and it tells you which one. So it's telling me the outside and the third one. So let's put this puppy in there. When you push, it should go in there and just snap right in. There, snapped right in. Took a little force, but we got it. Now for the next one. Sweet. Looks like we are in. Whew, that was nerve-wracking. I'm doing this CPU cooler here, and they have a bracket in the back that I put on. But the CPU cooler comes with a bracket with these little screws that you put in the front side to hold the bracket on the back, so that you can then install this bracket. Once you install this bracket, you screw your other nuts down and your CPU cooler will go on top of that. Now that we have the motherboard pretty much done with the CPU storage and the RAM, I'm going to go ahead and put in the motherboard to see how it works, how it fits in there, how easy it's going to be. Then I'm going to take it out and install the CPU cooler. Example to why it's good to do. I did my research, but apparently I haven't seen anybody with this issue, and I still can't online. But your CPU is right here, cooler goes on. The problem is this motherboard has this big old extra case where this is hitting and won't let it seat all the way. So I just scrubbed the thermal paste off, and now I have this. Tomorrow I'll swing by Best Buy and get a smaller cooler. You can get an enclosed liquid cooler or whatever for it. I'll probably just get one of those, but you live and you learn. So that's why we're doing this together. So next step will be installing the motherboard. Alright, motherboard's installed. Now I'm going to start working on putting my fans in place and cable management, which is probably my least favorite. Oh, and I'm probably going to go ahead and put the battery power supply in as well. Biggest thing, my CPU cooler didn't work. It didn't fit, so I'll come back and add that. I have decided to take this heatsink off and put the original back on. I think it'll look better. Power supply. Hefty little sucker right here. Wow. Okay. Cables for days. Look at that. They're not joking, dadgum. Alright, things are getting a mess, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you all the power supply. Look at all these cables. This is not for the weary. Like this, there's just cables for days and days. I'm dropping them. So yeah, as you can see, there's just this cables for everything. And that's not including what's in the motherboard bag. So you just have to break it down and see if they see duplicate. Is it too much? What do I need? What powers what? The good thing is power supply, fan speed, and you have all your connectors. It won't, you know what goes where because it won't connect unless it's made for that slot. For instance, I'll show you an example. You see this connector here? It has certain shapes and knobs and pins and everything else to make sure it only fits in whatever hole it's supposed to. So It's kind of hard to mess it up, but it can be overwhelming a lot because of all the batteries and all the wires and plugins. I mean, all the connectors. So I like this one a lot too because it has a fan control knob. I have not recorded much of this whole process as much as I wanted to because I didn't realize how difficult it'd be to record, to learn, and to plug it all up as we go. So since my last update, put the fans in, just 2 screws at the top, ran my wires to the side, and plugged them up in the respective places. You can see the different areas. It'll actually say fan system 1, fan system 2, RGB, so on and so forth. And the connectors only work, like I said earlier, one way. So you can see that connector has certain shapes and certain sizes and certain number of pins. Well, that can only fit in one spot. So unless you force it, it's going to go in. The next thing I did after I plugged in a lot of my cables was I put in my GPU. My GPU is a little tricky. You have to remove some covers in the back, finagle it in there, and you'll hear it click, and then you just plug your cables in, run your management. It's not hard. It's really not. It's just a matter of having the confidence you can do it without breaking it. That's what it all costs, because this piece right here was almost $800 for this one GPU. And the thought of breaking something like that, a cover on it, I was like, man, it's not going in. And I got Quan in here, and he was like, yeah. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, wait, I think there's a cover on it. So I got it off. We got it in there. But you live and you learn. Now the next step is I'm going to put the power supply in and start connecting all the wires. And we're going to show you in the backside what that looks like. Yeah, I did that. Look at this. That's crazy. It looks like old Greg's hair right there. It's crazy. Look at all this stuff. So I'm going to zip tie things, use my different channels, and wire it neatly down under here, and put the power supply in, plug it all up, and secure that. So that's my next move. Got extra connectors here for RGB and other things, fans and stuff like that. So if I go to add more stuff later, which I will, I'm going to add another fan, and I'm going to add a little bit more maybe lighting, and also a CPU cooler because mine didn't work. So I'm going to install this other fan here for the back side to give it a little more ventilation, because I love ventilation. Keeping your system cool is going to be make the life last a lot longer. With that being said, each fan, or most of them, should have an arrow flowing for airflow, which side is coming out and rotating and everything else. So it'll actually have an up arrow so you know which way to spin it, and you can feel it blowing out. So I know it's going to suck and blow out this way. Therefore, I want it to be a vent fan. So I'm going to stick this sucker right here in this little slot. I didn't get to show you on the other one, but I'm going to put the vent fan on there. I'm going to use these little screws to go through the grating to hold it in. So basically, this grating right here, this can go on one side, screws can go from the other, and that grating is going to be the hard stop between the two. I did the same thing with the top fan. So don't have a very long cable, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. You can buy extensions on Amazon. I'll end up getting some extensions and running everything through the back. But cable management stinks, but it's your best friend. I installed the fans. It's just to put some bolts, some screws in the top to secure them. Ran the wires out the back, and I plugged them in their appropriate spots on the motherboard. There's also more fan slots at the bottom. So the biggest thing about a motherboard is there's so many connectors, that little slots that things can go in. You just have to research it and figure out what more of the motherboard, where the locations are, and what the positions are. These are all just different types of connectors down here. So I went ahead and plugged in my motherboard. I powered some of my fans, my CPU, which is up here, and my power supply to my motherboard. Some fans, RGB stuff. So It all is just wiring. You just have to go through the wires, find the labels, and find where they go, plug them up. On the back side, you see a lot of cable management. I'm coming through and organize this later and run it all and plug it into my power supply later. The biggest issue is there's just a lot and it's easy to get overwhelmed. So take your time, make sure it goes in the right slot, don't force it, and it'll all come together. But I YouTube a lot of the stuff that I have. This is... They also have these little trays at the bottom right here that are held for old hard drives. We're not using an old disk hard drive, we're using SSD. And solid state drives, it's a lot faster, a lot more modern, less bulky. And that's what I prefer. Take the little trays out and I'll just put them in back in later if I want to. That's debatable. Now I have more room to plug my stuff in. Like I said, now when you plug this stuff in, it can only go in the only hole, one hole at a time that it can fit in. So, for instance, the motherboard, I think it's 16 prong, whatever, it can only go into the one single motherboard slot. The biggest thing is you have to make sure you put it in the right way. I want to make sure you hear that click. Make sure that little tab knocks in there, because if your computer doesn't turn on, you gotta check all your connections all over again. These two must be the CPU. Way over there. Yes, ma'am. Logo there. This has organizers. Like, I know all this is... I'll buy some straps so I can make sure some wire connectors. They have like it's a piece of plastic. I'll actually show you right here. They got these right here that keep your wires all organized and in line. You can buy those and snap them on, and that's what I'll do off Amazon. But as of right now, it's more or less just to keep them together. I'm being all over the place without restricting them. I made a boo-boo. I left my flashlight in there. Maybe get it off from here. Yeah, got it. Alrighty, guys. I'm about to take her in the next room. That sounded bad. I'm about to take her over and... Okay, I gotta pick better words. So as y'all know, the CPU cooler did not work, did not fit with that motherboard. So I went ahead and got this right here is the Corsair triple. It's a triple fan with the little gauge on it, and the display screen, you can supposedly change it to whatever you want, but kind of show what I'm going to do. There's two different places you can mount it. I know it's kind of dark right here, but you can mount it at the top, or you can mount it on the side right here, in the front. But if you mount it in the front, that's where your cool air comes from. Your cool air comes on the front and comes out the top. So you put it on the top, you're actually using hot air to go through your radiator, which is going to make a huge difference, probably about 5 degrees or so. But you know, the whole point of it is to put cool air into that radiator. So you typically want to put them in the front if you can. That's where you get optimal airflow, cool airflow. And as you can see, this thing here is a closed system. You got a radiator with fans. You have an input and an output, and then you have your cooler fan. So trying to do this one-handed is not easy. So First off, thermal paste. Couple dabs here and there. Make sure everything's going in right. So I mounted the fan, make sure my direction was right, ran my wires. One of the things is you still have almost 2 inches here and an inch and a quarter at the top gap. I'm going to have a cover over this, so I want all the lights to show, and as well as I split the difference in lining the top of this fan with the top of the back, so maybe it'll make a more even airflow. Small things, more personal than anything, but it's those little details that are going to make you feel confident about your build. And even though it's hard to work around everything, if you take it one step at a time, it's really not bad. Something else is I came up more from the bottom because on this bottom side, nothing's really down here but wires. So it's still getting a little pass through, but majority of the air is coming from the GPU up. So you got positive air pressure coming in. So I'm going to try to have more fans coming in than going out, just because I want that positive pressure. And it's going to force that heat out, the more cool air that comes in. So, but at the end of the day, people overthink fans. As long as you have airflow, it's not that big a deal. But I am making sure that my airflow is blowing out the top, like I said before, due to the dust. If not, dust will be sucked into your PC, and you don't want that from the top. So, the good thing about this front side is, even the top really has it, but it's got this mesh on the back side that you should be cleaning often. Take it out and clean it. A lot of people don't do that kind of maintenance. Like the build I have there, I don't think I've ever done it, but I need to. Next thing is this little bracket right here for the CPU mount. It comes with 2 different ones. One for the Intel and the other one for AMD, so make sure you use the right one. So I got my radiator and cooling fan mounted. Now, I talked about wanting to put it in the front. I mean, I want to take back something I said. It would fit right here in the front, but I'd have to separate the fan from the radiator, put the radiator in the back, the fan in the front, mount that, and then put screws in to mount to the actual metal right here for a little extra security. I personally didn't like that, the way it would stick out and be in the way of everything. So I went with this way. It's not ideal, but it lays out. This motherboard's actually really big, and so it takes up a lot of space in this desktop. So I've got my wires ran. Because this has a digital display, I have a module in the back I had to plug it to. That module then broke off to the fan, and from the fan, I had extra ports to plug other fans in. Also, it led to the battery, and it also led to USB ports for me to be able to modify this screen here with whatever display I have. So now that the CPU cooler is on, I made sure to tighten at a cross pattern to make sure it sits flat and as tight as it can. We want to dissipate as much heat as we can. So I'm going to crank this puppy up and see if we can get it started. Good news, guys, I fired up with the screen. This is great. So now I just have to go in there and start downloading my drives and see where we go from here. But it's working so far. So I'm going to put the case together and get to setting it up. So I went ahead and got the PC running. I put it on the TV so I can use my PC in there and this one at the same time. What I did was I got a 3.0 USB, and it was 16 gigs or more, and I downloaded Windows on there along with some other drives that I needed, like the MSI and NVIDIA and so on and so forth. The different drivers I needed to run my PC. Wanted to put them on there, so when I plugged in into the computer, it recognized it, and I was able to download it and actually bring it up to start an account. So that's what it's doing right now. It's installing. So when it's done and I get it all going, I'll show you the next step. Definitely not the fun part. This is probably my least favorite of it all. It was the biggest headache too, but you have Windows 10, Windows 11, 11 Pro, depending on what model you have and different things, it all kind of affects it. But at the end of the day, there's plenty of resources out there that you just gotta Google and YouTube until you figure it out, and that's kind of what I did. I downloaded 2 different drives before I realized which one I needed. So just a little bit of troubleshooting. That's the biggest thing about PCs and IT work is troubleshoot, and troubleshoot.